Hello everybody, today's topic is going to be about how to be a better listener, and I did this topic because from a personal standpoint I feel I am not the best listener at all times. I'm trying to better myself and be a better listener. Hopefully this article will help you and me be better listeners overall. So let's move on. This first article is by Linda Blair. She talks about a CNN reporter that Mr. Cumio, who speaks about the quality of speech and body language and tone. So first, you must watch the speaker. Watching their speaker and listening to the quality of speech will help you decipher how well the speech is going. Next, she talks about Mr. Cumio again on the reporting of body language and tone. Tone and body language are important in a speech, and somebody's tone can convey something different than their body language might be portraying, So just try to pay attention to those little things. That might help you decipher if the speech is good or bad. Next, this article is by Dr. Gary Goodsman. This is all about the types of listeners, and this might help you choose and decipher which kind of listener you are yourself to help you better listen. So the first four are insulated, selective, defensive, and ambush listeners. These first two listening types are listed right here, and there's examples. Selective listeners only tune into the topics that interest them. Talking about their interests grabs their attentions. So, for example, say you're talking with a friend, and somebody walks by and they hear y'all are talking about football. They would only chime in because they heard you talking about something that they liked. Second example is insulated listeners. Insulated listeners tune into comments that involve them. Anything or anyone else spoken of fades their attention. So another example, you're walking with a friend and another friend is close by, but they're not paying any attention to your conversation. Say you might start talking to that friend about the other friend and you doing some activity and you mention their name. They would only start paying attention just because you started talking about them. The next two types of listening types are defensive and ambush. These two listening types I would say are not very common, but these still could be a type of listening type that you have often. First, the defensive listeners take everything as an attack. They constantly observe your meaning behind a question. So for example, you can ask them, "How are you today?" And they would constantly just be thinking, "I wonder what they mean." They might not know what you mean, and they take that as defense. They're trying to defend themselves. They don't know if you're trying to attack them or argue with them. So they're constantly overthinking many different scenarios. Next would be ambush listeners. I feel like these type of listeners are mostly just in arguments. They kind of attack your position and they take advantage of something you said previously. So like in an argument, you might be talking about something and arguing about one thing, but you start talking about something that kind of contradicts what you were arguing about. So they attack you because you started contradicting your own argument, and that's kind of how they listen into your argument. They might not listen at all up until the point where you start contradicting yourself, is when they chime in and actually pay attention to what you're saying. This last and final article is by Matthew McKay. In this article, there are 6 different things to focus on. These all help you let the speaker know that you're listening and chiming into their speech. The first 3 are eye contact, leaning in, and reinforcing by nodding. I think these are all very important when speaking with somebody, letting them know that you're paying attention, looking at them, keeping eye contact, leaning in, showing them that you're interested, and reinforced by nodding lets them know that you're listening and still continuing on what they're talking about. The next 3 are asking questions, stay away from distractions, and commit to understanding. Asking questions is also really good. Sometimes you might not always understand what they're talking about, so you ask what the topic might be. Stay away from distractions. Try not to look away. Try not to let a leaf flying by distract you from what's going on in the conversation. And commit to understanding kind of has to do with the asking questions. Asking questions lets the person know that you're still chimed in with what they speak about. All the photos and links used in this slideshow were used from Microsoft Bing, and I also did not use any quotes from any text. I wanted to say thank you all for watching. Yeah.